We're good.
All right, you guys. I am so pumped for tonight. If you guys don't know Kelsey, she just keeps it real and she will light a fire under you. So I'm so excited for everything she has to share with us tonight. So Kels, just jump in and tell us your story real quick. We'll start with that.
Awesome. So I started about 2.5 years ago. I messaged Kyle Tweed and I was like, how much money does your wife make doing this? Like, I just had one of those moments in my life where I was like, I need to be in a house that I'm looking forward to owning at some point. And we weren't on the path to do that. So I ended up just messaging him. Didn't really know the wrap. Like, I didn't know anything about it. I just signed up. I took the Strengths Finder thing. If nobody knows what that is, it's a really, really good test. It just kind of tells you about what your strengths are and how we should start focusing on our strengths. And one of my biggest strength came back as like an activator, which is basically like you have a ready, fire, aim mentality to where like you just shoot and then you like try to correct it after. And that's kind of how I joined the business, to be honest, because I didn't really do that much. I mean, I did a little bit of research, but I was just like making sure I wasn't going to totally get scammed. So I ended up jumping in and I was like kind of annoyed at first because I was like, oh my gosh, it took me 3 weeks to get my first customer. And it was like BOGO when I finally freaking got my first customer. And I was like, oh my God, that wasn't that hard. I think that I am going to be able to do this. And I actually got I don't know if anybody knows this part of my story, but I actually got my first distributor off of a blitz because I was too nervous to message anybody on my newsfeed.
Wow.
I blitzed the girl at my full-time job. I was working at a bank doing mortgages and she came in and she was talking about me about her finances. And I was like, oh, so you need some extra income. And it was like probably the most awkward blitz. The girl never ended up doing anything, but it was still like, it gave me the confidence. And then I signed another person. And so through that, I promoted to diamond within 4 months. I got my $10,000 bonus. It took me 9 months to go double and then another year to go triple after that. The cool thing about it is like me and my husband have really promoted at the same time. So I've kind of built 2 separate charts, even though they're not really totally separate because he's on my chart. But so we're both triples, which is really cool to kind of have both of us at the same rank. And it's just been fun. Like, it's just been so much fun. I've literally, I mean, you guys know how amazing the business is, but I'm so passionate about it. And I truly do believe that this business is so much mindset because every single person has so many gifts in them. And our job is just to help pull those gifts out of people and really let them see the gifts for themselves. And I just want to make sure that, and I can just see nods from you guys. I just want to make sure I can be real with you guys 100%. Just give me permission because it is so important for me to kind of be honest and be real because that for me is like the only really way I know, but I can tone it down for you guys if you want me to. But if I have your permission, I'm just going to go in for you guys.
Beast mode, girl, go all in.
Yes. And so the one thing I know that everybody comes off of Zoom, whether it's me or whether it's Eli or whether it's somebody else that's really motivational and they're just like, oh, I'm ready. What do I need to promote? I'm going to promote. And here's the thing is that the first thing I'm just going to tell you guys is there's no book you need to read. There's nothing that you can do to get out your chart that's going to help you promote that day. But what I need to tell you is that success is done every single day. Okay. So you can get off this Zoom and you can be motivated and that's great and good for you for getting on here. But that is not something that I can help you continue to do every single day. I can't be your morning cup of coffee. I can't be your Frappuccino or your keto coffee or whatever you need to get you going. But success is done every single day. Okay. Success is really just being self-disciplined. And that's in anything, you guys. That's in anything. So I just wanted to preface it with that because I know that it's never convenient to do this business. It's never convenient to promote. It never is going to happen on accident. It's never going to happen on accident to sign a customer. It's never going to be accidental. I think in this one time within 2.5 years of this business, I've had somebody just go to my website and sign up. And I was like, oh. And then I was like, wait, is that how it should have always been? It was like recently too. This was like not even, this was probably like, and I was like, You know, so sometimes have you guys done this before and you check your email, like just hoping maybe there's a little customer email in there? And you're like, oh man, I still have to work for it. So, you know, just your reminder that, you know, I'm so blessed to be on here to pump you guys up, and I'm honored that you guys are going to have me, but I want you to know that there's nothing that I can do for an undisciplined person.
Amen. I love that so much. Okay, so that kind of transitions into the questions we had. So what are your non-negotiables that you do every single day?
Yep. I love that you call them non-negotiables, because I've definitely switched that from a 6 list to I just call them non-negotiables. So I am doing 15 to 60 minutes of self-development. And you guys, I was telling my husband this because he always comes home, like, let's say they had a basketball game, and he'll be like, oh my God, that was so ugly. And I'm like, yeah, but he's like, yep, there's no pictures on the scorecard or whatever. And so I just transferred it to the business, and I'm like, there's no pictures on your paycheck. Okay. So most of the time you're seeing people, like probably me, you're like, wait, this is the girl that's on our social media, because I don't look like anything like I do in my pictures, because I'm always looking like 10 out of 10 in my pictures, right? For me, it's all relative. But it's like, you know, and then you get in your real life, you're looking like this, or you look like a lion's mane, and your kids are like snot all over you. And so there's no pictures. These pictures can be misleading. And it's not that it's fake. It's just, you're getting the best foot forward every single post that you see. And so you don't see that when I was actually writing that post, that my daughter spilled the wax in the candle, or that my son was actually eating something out of the trash. And so don't actually like put this pressure that this business has to be pretty. Nobody's told you that. Nobody has ever made that the expectation. And so when you're thinking about, oh, I need to find the 2 hours of the day where I'm just going to have complete silence, and I'm going to work this business, and I'm not going to be tired. I'm going to be so excited to work this business. That is some lie that you told yourself, because that is not true for anybody. And so what I'm here to tell you is these things that we're about to go over, they're not going to look pretty. They're not going to be how you imagine them in your brain. You just have to get them done. So on Saturdays, my self-development is a crap show. I'm just going to tell you guys that, because my kids are running around, and I have to listen to mine in the morning. And so my kids are running around, and like half the time it's being interrupted, and I'm like, oh, can you rewind that? Talking to my husband, and like, you know, it's just like, I'm trying to pick up on points. So it's not necessarily the matter of you making it look pretty, or it has to be this certain time, or it has to be the schedule, it has to be this. It's just a matter of you figuring out how you can get it done. So self-development, 15 to 60 minutes. I have to set a timer for myself. I encourage all of you guys to set a timer for yourself. You'll see I'm really big on inlines, deadlines, timers, all that stuff. And I'll tell you why in a little bit. But I just set a timer because I would literally do self-development all day if somebody didn't stop me. I didn't stop myself. So that is big, but 15 to 60 minutes. And self-development, people know it can be really anything. It can be, it could be a book. It could be a YouTube video. It could be a sermon. It could be music. It could be anything that is going to get your mind in the right frame that you know you can accomplish whatever is going to be thrown at you that day. I always try to do it before I look at my phone. I'm not the best at it. I'll just be honest with you. But the reason I do that is because especially once you hit higher ranks and you have other people to answer to, it's so funny because when you think you're promote, you think you're the boss, but actually you have just a lot more bosses under you, right? So you just have all these other people you're answering to. And I was like, you know, it would be discouraging when I would see a loyal customer message me and be like, I want to shut off my auto shipment, or whatever you're talking to people about. And so I love to do it before I even look at that, so that I'm not doing my self-development with that frustrated feeling in my mind of, God, I have to do self-development because my mindset's horrible because this loyal customer wants to turn off auto ship when she's saying the ThermoFit doesn't work. And I know the freaking ThermoFit works because I've used it and I've lost weight on it. And she's just clearly not taking it right. And so user error, and all these things are already going through your brain because that's the first thing you looked at. And so you have to realize and have control enough to know when is it going to be the most beneficial for you. Just like everything else in your life, it's not necessarily what you're saying or what you're doing. It's how you're doing it or how you're saying it. So we could be both listening to the same YouTube video. And have you ever gone back and listened to the same YouTube video and you take different aha moments away from it? It's because all the time you're listening and you're listening for different things, or you're hearing different things, or you're not even hearing anything at all because the way that you're listening. So I encourage you, if you can't do that, listen to a song that gets you in a good mood and you can go listen to it. That's my rule, is like, if I don't have the discipline enough, or like I've just like looked at my phone and something bad happened and I know I'm not going to get the most out of that, that self-development, I will always go and listen to like a song, like some praise music. And something happens when you just put your hand straight up in the air and you just give it, literally something in your brain happens. So I encourage you guys just to try something like that, to give it like the bridge to do the self-development with the right mindset. So self-development. My second thing is adding to my network. Minimum, I do 25 on Facebook, 100 on Instagram. I really encourage you guys, this is something I'm doing now that's working for my business, is I reached my limit on Facebook. And so that has been a different process, because now I'm going through 100 different profiles a day, which actually takes a lot longer. But I have, like when I print off my friends list, I have starred the people who are like I had this is so random, but there's this random guy on my Facebook, and I didn't even know how I became friends with him. But I'm sure it was like one of the first Facebook friends I have, because when you print off your friends list, it actually organizes it by date that you were friends with him. And so I started from like my first friends, and it was like he was one of my first friends. And I was like, who is this dude? And all he had was really good looking girlfriends. So I'm sure he was just some sort of creep that, like, when Facebook first came out, he just like got on there and friended all these pretty girls that were on there. And so I'm sure he was just like, and so I starred his profile. I didn't even delete him. And I literally I use his friends list to add to my network. And so you can have people like that, because I mean, I don't even know if he's a real freaking account, but the people that he follows are, and he has like 800 friends. So be creative, and you will be surprised at how many people you find on your friends list that you don't even like remember that were there. So that's what I'm doing now, instead of adding to my Facebook, because I'm going through those profiles. And then I post 3 to 6 times a day. I think it totally depends on your market and what you feel like they need. Facebook can be different than Instagram. You can post more or less. I tend to just post the same stuff on my Facebook and on my Instagram. One tip I will give you is don't link the two, because something happens when you link the accounts and Facebook knows. So not as many people will see it. So you know how you can just slide that button over and it will say post to Facebook too. When you post to Instagram, don't do that. Just copy and paste the same picture. Another thing is if you're using a stock photo, like a photo that you get off Pinterest, or you're using a before and after, I would always screenshot that, because somehow Facebook knows like the pixels and all this stuff. And so if you actually screenshot it rather than just hold it down and save the photo, it's not going to pick up that it's like a duplicate picture that 17 other people have posted, and it's not going to go down on the algorithm. So those are the posting. Then the other things I do are I check in with 3 team members daily. And this doesn't always have to be like a conversation about the business. It's just making sure that we have open lines of communication. I really want my girls to know that I'm friends with them too. And that's not just business, because it's hard, it's hard to do that. But I've also tried to set a standard of, here's my business, Kelsey, and here's my friend, Kelsey. And I think that when you're getting into just beginning leadership roles, even just as a Ruby, it's important to be able to have the business side too. Okay. Because I mean, I can just cuss with you and I can just have fun and shoot the crap, but there's also a time when I'm going to love you so much that I'm going to be real with you. And so if people know your heart because they can see the friendship side of you, they will know where you're coming from and be able to receive that. So I check in with them. And then I also, self-development, posting, adding, messaging. I message 25 people a day, new people. That does not include follow-ups. And then whatever follow-ups I have, I do. And then one thing I just recently started adding is that I spend at least 15 to 20 minutes a day getting organized from the day before. So I'm not an organized person, but a book I was reading, it talks about having a master list and for a hundreds list. And I got away from having a hundreds list. I would just have random pieces of paper all around my house and in my car and in my, in my glove compartment. And then sometimes my kids would eat them. So I'm literally like, I don't know what the heck's going on. Where did that sheet go? And they're in 17 different notebooks. And And so I love the idea of having a master list. So what I did was I just sat down for an hour at a time, because I always have to have time limits because I will get distracted. So I was set out for an hour at a time, and I would just go and transfer my hundreds list to a Google document. That way, if I'm out, or let's say I'm waiting at the doctor's office, or I'm out or waiting in like the school pickup line if you pick up your kids, or whatever you're doing where you're just spending time scrolling, I can access that Google document from anywhere and add back to my master list. So I've created that time daily where I'm always going back and adding to that master list. So I'm just disciplined to put it all to one place at one time, because you never know when your memory is going to be jogged, right? It might be on the back of a piece of paper. It might be because you see somebody driving down the street and you're like, oh my God, my old friend used to have that car and I should message her. And then you're just like, oh crap. And so you write it in the notes in your phone or anywhere just to get it down. And so I just encourage you to have some time that you dedicate to like staying organized with your hundreds list. And again, I mean, I'm sure I'm missing something, but those are the things that I definitely do.
That idea, because that's one of my struggles, is that I lose track of it. And then I'm like, where is it?
Mm-hmm.
That's me. Like, I literally, if you could see my desk right now, I like have piles of paper.
Yes.
I was like, oh my God,
Yes.
I need to do that.
Well, I have like literally 27 notebooks. So the problem is I'm like, oh, like that notebook's cute. And then I start writing in that one. And then that's just how I am. So, and then I try to do like different challenges, not like for myself. So because I'm not naturally, and I don't think really anybody is, I'm just not naturally, or I hadn't been taught to become a self-disciplined person. I set a lot of things in place to keep myself on track. So let's say like, I was just talking about this on another Zoom, but let's say like, I mean, I'm a Netflix binge watcher. It's my weakness. Okay. But I've learned how to control it. So I use like little Netflix, or maybe like, I used to use Starbucks runs, but that's a bad example because I don't go to Starbucks anymore. I've been like saving so much money because of keto coffee. Brian's like, thank God you spent $350 in the past 2 months at Starbucks. So this is good for us. I'm like, oh my God, that's sick. But so like little things. So I will reward myself if I've been consistent for 5 days with my goals. I will be able to watch a show on Netflix. So it's like a treat for me. So you know how we bribe our kids with treats and we're like, if you eat all your dinner, you get a snack, right? So that's what I do with myself. And that sounds really dumb, but that's just what works for me. And so I'll say like, oh, I'm going to actually make a call to a sideline that I know is not income producing, but that I really want to talk to if I get all my goals done. And the thing is that your non-negotiables, you should be able to get done in an hour and a half, because the rest of the day you can be spent, building relationships, doing three-way calls, checking in with your team, working if you have to work another job, doing different things to where it's not just, I have to do this business for 8 hours a day, every single day. That's not how it should be. Full-time in network marketing is 15 to 20 hours. We forget that. This business should not take as much time as we make it. We just tend to overcomplicate it. So I also love to add daily like gratitude things. So I always try to start my day out with expressing gratitude. And doing that, or just writing down things that I'm grateful for. And then I always pray over my team and my business.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. So a lot of people on here are new, and I actually did not know that part of your story, that it took you 3 weeks to get your first customer. Like, what? Okay. So give us your best tips for your new people starting out, or what you kind of tell them to like really get them going.
Okay. So there's two different things that I like to talk about when I talk about new people. You have to talk about as the trainer and like the mentor, and also the new person as like the newbie, right? And so what I like to tell people who are getting into training, so if you are executive, Ruby, whatever, listen to this part. When you are onboarding new people, you need to be asking a million questions. You need to be getting to know why they joined the business. Eric Worre says 3 different things that he asked, and I really adopted this recently. But the first thing he asked, and this can be before they sign too. Number 1, how much money would make this business worth it to you? Number 2, how much time a week are you willing to dedicate? Number 3, for how long are you willing to dedicate that time? So if they say to me, I want to make $10,000 a month and I'm willing to dedicate 3 hours a week for 2 months, I'm going to be like, you got to change one of those numbers, and just have them change one of those numbers. And that's fine. I'll just say that's not realistic. And I want to be totally real with you. But if they say, I can work 8 hours a week, I want to make, $3,000 a month, and I can do that for 4 months, I'm going to be like, great, here we go. This is what we need to do. And by you asking them those questions, you are going to be able to hold them accountable to whatever they told you. So when you're checking back with them and you're like, hey girl, I know you said you really wanted to work 6 hours a week. Do you feel like you've been getting that time in? Or do you feel like you've been able to dedicate that time? And if not, let's talk so we can find those pockets of time where you can really work this business. And then you're keeping them accountable, because our job is not to change somebody. It's to hold them accountable to what they want to accomplish. Okay. And so by you asking them what they want to accomplish, and only reason I'm saying this, you guys, is please know 90% of the shit I'm saying is all regurgitated from somebody else. So it would just take me 4 hours to do the Zoom if I try to cite all my sources like a works cited, And the other thing is that I also want you to know that I've failed so much in this business. And that's why I have a lot of wisdom, is because I was been willing to try anything and everything and see what works and see what doesn't work. But because of that, it doesn't mean I'm a failure. Okay. Failure is only when you stop or when you give up. Okay. But failing in this business is normal. It has to happen for you to grow and to learn. That's why they call them growing pains. And so when you are growing, it feels uncomfortable. You don't like it, but that's what's best for you. A lot of times the seed that you see in the ground, it's in the ground, so you can't see it, but you're doing it, you're planting it, you're putting in the ground. And don't talk negative over your business, or don't speak negativity over how you're, oh my God, I suck at doing this, or oh my God, I can't believe I did that, or whatever, because you're just ripping that seed all up that you just planted. So making sure that you guys know that I'm coming from you in such a humble place. And I've only know this because I've been there and I've done the training when I'm like, okay, and I do this whole freaking monologue and I'm like, so this is why it works is so great. And this is why I joined, and this is why you should join, and blah, 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 blah. And they're like, maybe I should breathe for a second before I actually go into that. But I just think we have to remember that you're not going to be able to help them get what they want if you don't know what they want. And that is going to make for such a successful partnership. And I feel like that's why I can have these real conversations with people that sometimes people think that are difficult when they're just honest conversations, because I know what that person's goal is. So that is probably the best advice I can give you from training new DTs. Get to know them and ask them, what's the best way for me to hold you accountable? What kind of leadership do you need? And sometimes they might not know, because they might, some people are young and they just haven't had life experience and they don't really know what they need. The other reason is because people don't want to tell you, maybe they don't want to feel too needy. They don't know what the right answer is. And so my suggestion when you do that is just offer, would it help if I checked in with you every day, and give some suggestions so they know what's normal. Just to make them feel more comfortable. But doing that has been really, really helpful, is asking those questions so that they have ownership in their business. And then if you're a newbie, the best thing that I feel like advice I can give you is to be honest about what you want, and to really think, okay, all fears aside, if you could get a check in the mail every single day or every single month for this business and what you're going to put into it, what would you do with it? And really helping them see, okay, yeah, it'd be great to earn $5,000 a month, but you're not going to earn $5,000 a month if you don't even know what you would do with that $5,000 a month. So really creating that financial plan, like you did have that money. What would that mean for you? I always say, if you don't know where you want to go in this business, it's like having a GPS, but not knowing where you want it to take you. When you type in Baskin Robbins, and I've done this before where I type in Baskin Robbins and it took me to the wrong freaking Baskin Robbins. And I'm like, no, that's not where I wanted to go. But I didn't tell it. I just typed in Baskin Robbins. And so it was taking me to any one. And so I say, are you just typing success in to the GPS? Is that all you're doing? Because you have to define what that success is for you. And you have to get very specific with that. So that is what I would challenge new people to do, is just say, what is that money going to do for you, and help them start dreaming and help them start figuring out, oh my God, it's not that scary to think about that, because like the Bible says, without the vision, people will perish. And so helping them really get that vision and helping you know that it's okay to dream.
I just love you. Everything you
Oh my gosh, stop.
Okay, your little 3 questions, like I do that, but I do it much more complicated, and just asking 3 questions like that makes it super simple. I love that. Okay.
Yeah.
Talked about this the other day, but I want you to share with them kind of your biggest obstacle that you've had to overcome and how you did that in your business.
Yeah, you guys, if you guys don't know me, I'm really red. And one of the things that is really good about me is that I like to achieve things, right? So achieving bonuses was one of those things that I really wanted to accomplish. And what happened to me is I went diamond really fast, and I thought I was a shit, and I was like, I'm good. I'm going to go double, it's just going to happen. And I think that I forgot, when you go diamond, you're making the biggest check on your team, right? And that motivation for people, if they know you just made a $10,000 bonus, and guess what? You're making an average of $2,000 a month. Some people on your chart might be making $100. And I was like, I got pit because that month I went diamond in July, and they didn't bring back the bonuses in August, but I could have gone, and I was mad, you guys. I was so mad about the bonuses being gone. I was so mad.
So mad.
I remember being like, we just lost $40,000, like literally like being so pissed. Okay. And I'm not even proud of this. So I should probably be telling you all these details, but it was actually pretty embarrassing and very immature. But I was just like, that was to me, like, I was just like, that is a lot of freaking money. And I lost sight about the business being about other people and about helping them achieve what they need to achieve. And just growing their paychecks outside of bonuses, because I heard people say it, but I wasn't ready to receive it at that point about, oh, it's residual income. And I was like, residual income. I didn't even know what that was. Okay. And it's funny because now I've literally like fallen in love with the term residual income, but I have to explain it differently to people. And I'm going to get back to your question, but how I explain it now is I tell people, so like, do you ever watch Shark Tank? And the guy in the middle who like always asks for royalties when he's like, oh, I want a royalty on this and a royalty on that and royalty. And you're like, I had to do research on what a freaking royalty was for that, when that show came out. And it's basically, let's say he invests in bottled water. Every single time somebody purchases a bottle of water, he makes like 25 cents or something random off of it, and whatever they agree upon. And I was like, that's what our company is. Every single time we sign a loyal customer, we do it one time, and then we make royalties on it every single time they purchase something. And for me, that was like so easy to understand because it was just like Shark Tank lingo. And I was like, oh, that makes sense to me. But that is something that I didn't understand at that time. And so I was just like, I just didn't do what I did to go diamond, and I stopped doing that. And so it took me a year, and I really probably could have promoted like that to double. And I would have probably not lost the emerald leg that I had, but because we remained stagnant and I wasn't aware of, or didn't think about that. Oh my gosh. When we were joining, people were just getting their tax checks, and there was all these positive things happening. And so essentially I was just like, oh my gosh, like this person they're not making as much money as I am, and they don't have as much tie to the company. And so I was just like, holy crap. And so it was really hard for me to let go of that emerald. And I think the reason it was so hard for me to let go of that emerald on my double chart was because I knew I felt that had I acted differently as a leader, maybe she would still be in the business. And that's a horrible feeling to have. And, people might come to me like, oh no, you can't change people and all this stuff. But like, you don't ever want to have that guilt. Like, not even have the option to have that guilt, right? Whether you're right or you're wrong, sometimes that guilt can just sit on your heart. And so that's why I'm so passionate about, you are helping other people. And like, when you can help other people see the vision, and yeah, she could have seen it for herself, but I was brand new. I didn't know how to cast visions or do any of that crap that we talk about now, these fancy words, and talk about her dreams with her and do all that stuff. So I think at that point, I just thought I was going to get a scholarship. I was going to get a scholarship, to go double or something. And it didn't happen. There's no scholarships in life, And so, yeah, that was a really big lesson for me. And then learning how to erase somebody off my chart was a really big lesson for me too, because I think we get attached because we dream and we're taught to dream, and we dream that we're going to promote with these people and that this person is going to be on our chart forever. But sometimes the best way you can love somebody is to let them go, and is to let them do things on their own, and figure out if they're willing to fight for it or if they're not. And so, I had to make that, I had to do that. And that was tough, man. That was hard. Like, and I'm red, so I can't even imagine how it would be for friggin' yellows, you know? So, right. Like, you're probably crying about it over there. I was just like, dang, this is hard. I told Brian, he's like, babe, I know, but like, you can't work for other people and blah, blah, blah. And then I'm just going back, well, what if I did this? Or what if I did that? And that's my whole point in telling you guys this is don't we get so caught up in the day-to-day stuff in our business, and we get so prideful, and we get so like, this is my business and this is how I want things to be done. And we don't zoom out for a second and think about, in 5 years, in 5 months, in 5 days even, is this going to matter? You know, and let's just take a step back and figure out, okay, like how can I handle this situation? Or, you know, like I should be thinking about this person, or, you know, let me just love, like handle it gracefully and be tender about the situation. Cause when I say be tender, it just means don't judge what's happening on the surface without considering what's happening beneath the surface, with people's business, with people's personal lives. And that doesn't mean making excuses for them. That just means knowing that maybe they're not deciding just not to work, but maybe there's just more underlying things that you can take into account before you come at their throat. And I've had to learn that, because that's, you know, my natural thing is just
Suck it up, let's go.
right.
Oh, I think especially for new people, like that's really hard, because especially new people who catch the vision and you're like, why can't you see what this can do for you? Like, come on. Oh, it's so hard to learn this.
And then people, I think too, that hit Ruby or something, and then they're like, they don't even think it's a big deal, or even hit executive, and you're like, dude, that's amazing. And I think we can forget, because we get caught up in these big charts and these big promotions, but it's like, no, like that, you just accomplished like a major thing. And so celebrating those small successes, creating that culture on your team, is really, really important.
Absolutely. I love that. Okay. So what do you say to somebody on your team? So somebody comes to you and says, Kelsey, I just feel stuck. Like, what do you tell them to help them get out of their own way?
Yeah, there's a lot of things. I mean, and this is a place where I would have to dig a lot deeper, because every situation is going to be very different. And this is where like situational leadership is going to come in, because you're going to have some feel for what they're going through, you know, how they have been working. If this is somebody that I had a lot of people on my team that will say they're doing X, Y, and Z, but the results aren't there. So, you know, I've heard somebody say that basically self-discipline is the bridge between good intentions and good results. And some people just don't have that bridge. And so they have good intentions. So how do you approach somebody and tell them they're not working is essentially like, that's what really hard thing for a lot of people. And that's hard for me sometimes. But essentially what I do is I just say like, okay, send me a couple of screenshots. I'll help you. And then based on that, and I'll say, send me like 4 or 5 of your most recent conversations. And based on when the conversations are dated, I'm going to see how recent that conversation is. And then I'll double check and I'll be like, okay, just to make sure that these are your most recent conversations. And then if they say yes, I'll say, okay, so I'm just going to be really honest with you, because, you know, I want you to succeed, and success, you know, is so different, but I know for you, it means X, Y, and Z. And so in order to help you get to that spot, I can't sugarcoat it and let you feel like, oh, what you're doing is going to get you there, because you're not happy in your business. And I know you're going to like me more if I can help you make a lot more money. You know, I mean, that's really the end of it. Like I that's how I, you know, want to be dealt with. But I've learned in this business, the golden rule does not hold true. The way I want to be treated is not the way somebody else wants to be treated. And so you have to know your audience, you know, and it's not necessarily that hard. You just have to be listening for it. You know, how do you want, how do they interact with you? You know, if I'm dealing with somebody who I know is yellow, I just say like, how are you feeling about your business? Changing one word and you say, how are you feeling about your business? It's going to it's going to feel so much different for them than if you say, how's your business going? For a red, you can be like, how's business? Like, are you killing it? Like, how's it going? Like, tell me about this. And they're going to be able to respond to that. But if you say like, how are you feeling about your business? The yellow doesn't feel intimidated that they have to be talking about results, because they want to talk about their feelings, and they're going to feel like maybe, and like I said before in the other, I don't remember what I was talking about, but I suggest things that they can say. And I make sure one of those things that I suggest is negative so that they know it's okay to be honest with me. So I'll say, are you feeling frustrated? Are you feeling great? Are you feeling defeated? Are you feeling, and just so that they know that they can use those words with me, because I would much rather somebody be honest than to be frustrated but don't feel like they can come to me about it. So just suggesting those things will let them know that it's okay to say that to you. But I just tell them, I'm like, listen, if you're doing these things every day, I know this works, you know, and looking at your conversations, you're saying all the right things, you're doing everything right. It's just a matter that you need to be talking to more people. That's it. And until you can commit and be disciplined to 25 people a day, I can't help you beyond that. And if you can do that, then I'm more than willing to pour my time and energy to you, but I can't have this conversation again. Like, I can't continue, you know, Cammie was saying that the other day. I was like, you know, I can't, and I love that, because it is so true that we forget that this is a business, because we sell friendships, fun, and freedom, because there is friendships, fun, and freedom in this business. But at the end of the day, it's a business. And so sometimes we have to remind people that we're really good friends, but we're going to be better friends if we're both successful. Like, that's the bottom line. And so, you know, it doesn't mean that we can't be friends outside of, or people who aren't successful are shunned from it. It's not that at all. It's just, I know that we're going to have so much more in common, and I want you to get there because I know you want to get there, and I want to be somebody who's helping you accomplish your dreams, because I know that's going to feel better than how bad this conversation feels now. So that's the way I look at it. So, and it's hard. It's not easy. You know, it's not even easy for somebody like me. And I let them know that. I'm like, I don't like to have these conversations with you. You know, I don't want to always be playing bad cop. And they're like, oh yeah, like that's a good point. You know, if they feel like I enjoy the conversation, that's going to be a lot harder to, like, they're going to be like, oh, she's getting satisfaction out of having this conversation. And even though it might not be as difficult for me as it is for some people, I don't enjoy telling people, you know, hey, you're not doing what it takes to be successful. Everybody wants to be doing what it takes. Some people just don't know how to do it, and they don't know how to fit it into their life. And so, you know, I think it's just important just to remember and be tender about it too. You know, I've had to learn a lot of tenderness and grace and whatever fancy word you want to use, but I just had to become more aware of all the other circumstances that can play into the reasons why their situation is the way that they are. Because like I said, and this is another training, I feel bad, I'm like stealing all these people's quotes, but it's like TD Jake said this or something, but the question, he talks about how he's on the Chamber of Commerce, and he's meeting with a bunch of CEOs and stuff. And one of the CEOs, they were talking, and they were all coming up with this wonderful plan about what they wanted to accomplish, you know, with the city of Dallas and all this stuff. And he was like, one of the CEOs was like, listen, the problem is not that we know what we want to do. Everybody knows what we want to do. Everybody in this business wants to make money. They want to make money. Most people, whether they want to admit it or not, want to be diamond. Okay. And beyond that, they want to promote to the next rank. But the question is not what you want to do. The question is, what are you willing to give up to get there? Mm-hmm. And when you can answer that question, you're going to have the answer on how bad do you really want it. Because that's really all we're looking at. Me, Jessica, Trista, Brittany, anybody who's been successful in this business, we've just worked harder. It's not because we're luckier. It's not because, you know, now that we're retired, we quit our jobs, or we did this, or, you know, now we have all this extra time on our hands. No, we sacrificed to get that extra time on our hands. You know, we gave up stuff. We gave up time with our kids. We gave up memories. We gave up whatever it took, because we knew in the long run, we were going to benefit on the back end. So it's either you're going to have a pay now, play later mentality, or you're going to have a play now, pay later. And when you pay later, guess what's going to happen? You have to pay interest, and it's going to cost you a lot more than if you just put in the work right now.
Yes.
Can you just like just keep talking? Just go. So we only have like one more question that we have written down, but if anybody has any questions that they want to ask Kelsey, you can pop them in the chat as well. So we all know that, like, going into the new year, going into conference, things are going to get crazy. So what's your advice for now to get ready for that?
Yeah. Assemble the troops, you guys. This is assembly season. Right now, you are going to see who are going to be your soldiers, who's going to be your front line, and talk to those people about that. Let them know they're on your front line. Appreciate them, love on them, pour into them, tell them, listen, this is what we're doing. This is what we're going to accomplish. You're going to get charted. This is what you're doing. You're going to go Ruby this month. The next month, you're going to go Emerald. And by conference, you're going to be Diamond, maybe even double Diamond. Cast that vision for them, because especially when people are executives and Rubies, they don't know what's normal. I remember Aaron calling me after I promoted to Ruby and being like, get out your Diamond chart. And I was like, bro, I haven't even hit Emerald. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. I just hit Ruby. Can I just chill and celebrate for a second? And she was like, no, get out your Diamond chart. Like, you're going Diamond this month. And I was just like, is this shit crazy? Like, does she really think I can do this? Like, I think I had 11 or 12 people on my chart at that time. And I was going to have 11 or 12 or 13 people more. So it was double, or at least a little bit more than double. And I was like, in a month? But because she thought I could do it, that was the expectation, right? And people don't know in this business, they don't know what they don't know, right? And so you have to tell them what is realistic. And you know what, if they say, I want to go Diamond in 30 days, you know what, Tiffany Hurd did that. And if you want to do that, that's great, but that's not normal. And so what I'm going to tell you is normal is let's set up your 90-day game plan. And so what I want you guys to do going into the new year is I want you to game plan. And what I mean by game plan, go into eSuite, be scared of the numbers. Tell yourself, I'm 187 spots from where I want to be come conference, because that's going to be an amazing freaking story to tell. But guess what? You'll never have that story to tell if you don't know that number. If you don't know that number, if you don't know, oh my gosh, I am literally only, 27 spots away from going triple. I'm 12 from going double, or whatever you want to say, just make sure you know what you need. If you don't know what you need, you have no way to get there. And so get out your chart, as scary as it sounds, and get out the volume, run numbers for where they ended last month, figure out, okay, if everything runs equally, this is what I was going to need, update your numbers, keep track of it, because the only reason you haven't gone into eSuite and do that is because you're scared of what the results are going to say. The only reason I know that is because I've been scared too, okay? But what's scarier is not having a plan. And you know why people promote? You know why I promoted after every conference season? It's because I had a plan, because I knew what I needed and I knew where I was going and I knew that's what was going to happen. I had 8 or 9 diamonds pop when I went triple. It was craziness. But the thing is that I had every single one of their charts out. Did I know every single one of them was going to promote? No, not necessarily. But yeah, every single rank should be doing this. Do this. If you are executive, if you are a distributor, get out. If your goal is to go Diamond, get out a Diamond chart. It might be intimidating as heck, but do you know what? When you accomplish it, you're going to be like, when I thought I couldn't do it, when I pulled out that chart, what's the day? On November 9th, when I pulled out that chart, I was thinking there is no way in hell. But you know what? I'm going to work like there is. And I'm going to push for 90 days and I'm going to put my head down and I'm going to figure out how I'm going to do it. Because if you have a will, you're always going to find a way. So I would just pull out your chart. I would figure out who your leaders are going to be. If you don't have leaders, here's the thing I want you to do. Write down the 3 things that you are looking for in your leaders. Okay? 3 things. These are characteristics. These could be passionate, self-motivated, driven, smart, confident, funny, adventurous, spontaneous, whatever characteristics come to mind. Okay? So whatever characteristics come to mind, write those 3 things out. I'm gonna let everybody kind of take a second and just do that. Trista, Jessica, I want you guys to do it too. If you guys don't have a list of what you're looking for, because have you ever been looking for like this pink bag and you're like, oh my God, where's that freaking pink bag? And it turns out it was actually purple and that's why you couldn't find it and it was staring at you in front of your face the whole time. Do you ever think that happens with people that you're looking for on your team? You don't even know what you're looking for, so you don't find them because you don't know what you're looking for. So write those 3 things out. Now, the question I want you to ask yourself is, are you being those things consistently? If the answer is no, you're not being those things consistently, you will never find your leaders that you want until you are those things consistently, because you are what you attract. And it's never convenient. you guys. It's never convenient. We are always tested. Have you noticed that like some days I'm like, gosh, I'm feeling so good. And then I'll get a call or I'll get a text and I'm just like, okay, thanks for trying to freaking test me out on this day where I was feeling hyped. But I think that you're where you are because of who you are. You're where you are because of who you are. So if you want to go further, become more. You're going to attract the people that you are like. And so the people you're attracting now is a representation of the person that you are. And some people that's not going to feel good. Some people it's going to feel great. So the thing is the beautiful thing in all of this is that you can grow. You can change that. If you don't like where your business is, take ownership of it. Don't be like, there's 100 people on my team and nobody is working. Not one person is working. My team sucks. I have nobody that works as hard as I do. My freaking team is not working. If they would only work, I would have already been presidential by now. Those stories that you're telling yourself, take responsibility. Stop with the victim mentality. Stop with the woe is me stuff. Just figure out what you're going to need to do to get there. You know what? I didn't care if I had to fill every 400 box when I went diamond. I did not care. I was getting that freaking bonus, and you know what? I did. Some spots there were like, I had to replace and replace and replace. And you know what? That's okay because you're always building your business. People will come in for seasons. People will come in for a lifetime. And hopefully you can be around long enough to have enough people that can take you to ambassador. But I'm sorry if you're one of those people that thinks this is going to happen in a microwave, because it's not. It doesn't. We all know things are better when they're in the slow cooker. They taste better. The stuff in the microwave, it's flimsy. It's nasty. The fries are soggy. We know that. Bake them in the oven. Take the time to do that. That's how I feel about this business. Take the time to grow it strong.
Freaking love it. It's 100% true. 100%.
Take the time to grow strong. Quote of the night.
All right.
You got anything else or anybody? Britt, anybody?
The one other thing I wanted to add, because I love this, I was reading about this today, or I don't know, listening to something, but it says, emotions without thinking is a downhill activity. Okay. So, if you put your emotions above your thinking, you're not going to get where you want to go in life. Okay. Thinking always has to come. You can always let your emotions do whatever they need to do. Let them freaking emote. If anybody can do that, it's me. Like, I'm that person that, like, Brian's always like, you have a really quick rebound rate. That's what he said. Your rebound rate is like this. Cause I'll be so pissed off 1 second at my kid. Like, I will literally be grabbing Mac and I will be like, if you don't do this, and I'll be like, but I love you. I'll see you tomorrow. And like, but the thing is, it's like, let your emotions happen, but don't make a decision. Don't take action until you let your thinking happen first. And that is so true in this business. And the reason I say that is because most of the time we act on our emotions, especially when it comes to not doing things. I don't feel like doing it, right? That's an emotion. That's an emotion. Nobody feels like doing it. Did I already talk about the when I'm like, on Netflix, like if you're watching a Netflix show and you're like laying in bed and you're like, I'm so freaking comfortable, and you're like, oh, I'm freaking nasty, I didn't brush my teeth. Did I already talk about this?
No.
Did I talk about? Okay, so I'm like laying in bed. This happens to me all the time. I'm like, oh God, I forgot to brush my teeth. I can't. I'm like, I have this full blown conversation with myself, being like, no, if I'm one night just won't hurt me. Like if I just, and then I'm like, no, Kelsey, that's freaking nasty. Get up and do it. Think about if we all viewed this business like brushing our teeth. It was just something that we did. It was just something that we always incorporated. It was not something that, it didn't matter what we felt like it, because you know what? The pain that would happen from not working the business is so much greater than the pain that happens from working the business. It's the same thing with brushing your teeth. The pain that happens from the cavities and the nasty breath and the yellow teeth is so much worse than just getting up and doing it, right? That is the same thing with this freaking business. And I know it sounds dumb and it may be a silly analogy, but let your thinking come to life. Give yourself a time and just say, like, I don't feel like doing it. I don't feel like doing this. Like, I'll sometimes call Brian. I'll be like, babe, I don't feel like doing this today. And he's like, I know, babe, you don't feel like it. Why don't you just do something else and set a timer for 15 minutes? And then just get back to what you were doing. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then like, I'll just get back to doing it, you know, because I know he's right. And that's the annoying part, is that he's always right. But self-discipline is easily formed with things that you like to do. So I was telling Brittany this the other day, but I was just saying, like, my issue with the business is I love doing leadership. I love doing Zooms. If somebody was, I would be very tempted to just do Zooms all day if I could, you know, and just talk to people and, you know, pour into them and love on them and tell them how they can grow. I would do that all day if I could, because I know that the power in people, like, I know people's potential. I just need to bring it out of them. I'm so passionate about that. So I don't have to be disciplined to do that, because that's what I like to do. So it's become my strength, right? So start being disciplined with those things. Start doing the things that you like to do every day first. Once you accomplish those things, then move on to the things that you don't want to, and don't let yourself off the hook. Or you can do the vice versa, whatever sounds like it's going to fit your personality more. You could do, I'm going to do the things that I don't like to do first and reward myself by doing the things that I like to do. Okay. But have a system in place. And this all begins with being self-aware. You have to be self-aware in this business. You have to know what you're good at, what you're bad at, what your strengths are, what somebody else can do better than you. And you have to be okay with that, because you have success equals succession. You are not successful in this business unless you have somebody else who can be successful with you. The quickest and easiest way to success is helping somebody else get there, right? So you're going to feel the most fulfilled when you do that too. So most of the time you have to start the motion first, then the emotion will come, and then the self-discipline will come. So don't think that me or Trista or Brittany or anybody else that's, you know, that's achieved anything you want to achieve in this business just feels like doing it all the time. I don't wake up and be like, I get a post today and I get a message 25 people who might bite my head off if I message them. No, I don't do that. Okay. What I do is I'm sitting here and I just tell myself, this business is a gift and I'm sharing it with people. And I have this conversation with myself daily, because I believe this to my core. Okay. But what you believe is what you tell yourself every day, consistently. Okay. And here's the key. Self-discipline allows consistency to be possible. If you don't have self-discipline, you'll never be consistent. And what happens when you're consistent, it's a prerequisite for excellence. If you want to be Michael Jackson in your industry, if you want to be Kim Kardashian, if you want to be whatever, every single person has been consistent. They've worked on their music every day. They've worked on their talent every day. Nobody just is born into success. You have one-hit wonders, but they're called one-hit wonders for a reason, because they weren't consistent. Okay. And so make sure that you're consistent, because not only is it a prerequisite for success and for excellence in anything that you do, but it allows people to trust you. It allows people to believe you, because when you're consistent and you do things consistently, people believe you because you are doing it all the time. So that, I think that's it. But you really, guys, I just want you to know that I hope that this inspired you today, but more than anything, I hope that this gives you things that you can do to change your business. Not these great emotions, because when the thinking comes into it, like I said, that's when the true action takes place.
Hang on, she's trying to talk.
Hey, I have a quick question, Kelsey.
Yeah.
So at the very beginning, and I can't remember exactly what you said because my pencil broke. You were talking about just your personality, almost like you had done like a personality assessment or something. Did you take one? What was that called?
Yeah, it's called Strengths Finder.
Strengths
And
Finder.
you can order it on Amazon. Hold on, let me see. It's right here. Okay, so you can order this on Amazon, and it comes with a code, and then you take the test with the code that comes with this. Okay. And then it goes over, and I think there's like 34 or something crazy. I don't know if you can see, but there's these like really faint lines right there. And those lines are like, each one is a different like trait that you're good. And it gives you your top 5. So you can write that. And then there's another book that you can also order. My dad actually had this, so I sold this one from him. But it goes along with the same book, and it's called Strengths-Based Leadership. And so it can tell you how to use what you are good at in a leadership position or in anything else. So how to lead others that have those things, or how to lead yourself that if you have certain things. So it's just nice, because I feel like a lot of personality tests will be like, oh, you're really good at this, but you suck at this. And so it's like, it's kind of defeating, it's like, oh, I love you, but you don't look very cute tonight, and your husband like tries to fib or something. It's like, that was half-ass thing. But with this, you really honestly like do get like just talking about your strengths. And because a lot of times we're so focused on developing our weaknesses, but if we can focus on developing our strengths, our God-given talent that comes easy and natural to us, then that's what's going to make us excellent.
Okay, thank you.
Author on the book that you stole from your dad, the strengths.
Tom Rath and Barry Conchie.
Okay.
So another thing that Kelsey said tonight that I think is so important to hit on too is she's dead on the nail. Like, motivation and self-discipline are not the same thing, and they don't have to go hand in hand. You don't have to, I hear this all the time from people is, I'm just not feeling motivated. I've lost my motivation. Talk to me, motivate me. Well, like she said, she can't be your morning cup of coffee to get you pumped up for the day to make you do your job, right? So it is having the self-discipline that even on the days where you're not feeling motivated, you're not feeling excited, you're feeling like, ugh, like I don't want to do this today. It's having the self-discipline to do it every day anyway. That's going to get you where you want to go. So if you're waiting to just feel like it every day, it's not going to happen. You're not going to get diamond. You're not going to get double diamond, triple diamond by just doing it when you feel like it. It is having the self-discipline to do it even when you're not motivated to do it. And it's so
yeah,
true.
and I mean,
so
to be
true.
honest, that's the difference between people who are at diamond and double diamond and triple diamond and pres and ambassador. Like, I know that the people who are ambassador are there because they didn't take any days off. Like the days that I didn't feel like doing something, and the one day that I maybe didn't do as much as I could have, like they did it. And so, the hard thing is I don't want to come across that like you need to be doing live, eat, sleep, breathing this business all day, every day, because that's not how it is. But if you're committing to something, if you are committing to going and to promoting, we're telling you, this is what it needs. This is what it takes. It's just like it blows my mind how people just kind of think this is different than than any type of like position where your boss would be like, hey, these are the things that you need to do. And if you do this every day, we'll give you a $10,000 bonus. If your corporate job said that, you would do that hands down. And so don't think of it any differently. Just realize that, you know what, like, regardless of if at the end of the day you hit that promotion or not, you're going to be a heck of a lot closer than you were when you started if you weren't consistent. And so John Maxwell, I think, said that all success is uphill battle, right? And so you're just like, think about your path to success or where you want to go in life is uphill. And on that uphill battle, it's slow. You have to do it every single day. And he says 4 days of doing something uphill can be negated by 1 day of coasting. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so good. And the reason that's so true is I was thinking about it like a ski slope, right? It's so hard to get up the freaking mountain, and it takes that quick to go down the mountain. It's over in like 20 seconds, but it took you like 15 minutes to get up the mountain because you had to go on the lift and you had to wait in line. You had to do this and that. And so that's the thing, is that the price of leadership is self-discipline. The hardest person to lead and the most challenging thing that you have to do is lead yourself. It's so easy to teach this stuff. I can regurgitate this stuff to you every day, but it's a totally different story to live it out. And so I encourage you guys to really think about, if my team did what I did today, would they be making money? That's what question I ask myself all the time. Somebody posted it in the team page one time, so I'm not taking credit for that. But I just that was a question that really stuck with me. And I was literally like, oh my gosh, like that is so true. Like, I'm not just going to be making phone calls to my friends in the business and thinking that I'm working, because that's not really work. And so we can tell these stories to ourselves to make ourselves feel better. But at the end of the day, we have to have an honest conversation about, are we really doing what we know it takes to do to get it done? And if the answer is yes, I can guarantee you'll get where you need to go, but put an end date on it. Do a push where you're like, And even do, like, people do this with diets. It's like, do it and say, I'm doing a 90-day push, and put Post-it notes up and take one off every single day so that you see yourself accomplishing and you're like, oh my gosh, I only have 78 more days left. And you know what? That's going to be conference. And guess what? By the time conference comes, you're going to be recharged and you're not going to need the Post-it notes to count down to. And so I encourage you guys to have a game plan in place like that, to where you guys are looking at, okay, we have 87 days or whatever it is until conference, and we are pushing like we've never pushed, and we're dedicating. And when you have an end date, something happens in your brain where it feels manageable. It's like you're working against the clock and we're seeing how much we can get done, and it becomes this challenge. I had a girl come to me and she's like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know if I can do this for the rest of my life. And I'm like, you're just overwhelmed me by just speaking those words out of your mouth. Who's thinking about the rest of their life? So break it down. Don't overwhelm yourself by these thoughts, and just be like, okay, what can I accomplish? Somebody said we overestimate what we can do in a month and underestimate what we can do in a year. And that is so true. We get so caught up and we're like, I worked this business so consistently for a month. Okay. You're overestimating what you can accomplish in a month. You need to start thinking about, what can you accomplish if you put your all into this business for a year.
Mm-hmm. Well, and another thing I'm hearing a lot, I've heard this a lot over the last couple of weeks, is, oh gosh, it's a slow season. Nobody wants to order. Nobody wants to do this because it's going into the holidays. Nobody wants to spend money. Well, in my experience, guys, the last 2 years, November and December were huge months for our team. Huge months. You have to think about Christmas gifts. And you got to think about, like, people wanting to earn an extra income because they're terrified they can't buy Christmas for their kids. And it's the Black Friday deals. It's the Cyber Monday deals. You have so many tools for you guys that, like, we all should be seriously, like, gung freaking ho right now to build that momentum come February. Because there is nothing worse than getting to February and being full of regret because you could have done more. And, like when they announce whatever they're going to bring out, it's always like mind blowing. You don't want to be the one sitting there full of regret that you could have worked harder, but you just didn't have the motivation, or you just let it be a slow season. You got to seize the moment. Like, you got to put in the work now, guys. And, like, for real, come February, March, April, like, literally your life can be completely transformed from where you're sitting right at this moment. And let that sink in, because that is 100% possible. And that has 100% happened to so many of us sitting on here tonight.
Yep. And I mean, to put it in perspective, 2 of the girls that went diamond that helped me and Brian both promote to triple, I signed in December of last year. And they're 2 of my biggest rock stars on my team. And I signed them in December. But the thing is that one other thing that I tell people is, put it in perspective, is in this business, especially with the way social media is now, it takes a little bit of time to establish your credibility through being consistent and working it on social media, right? You can't post one day and expect people are just going to believe that you're going to be in it for forever, because they've seen a lot of people come in and come out. However, if you sign up now, you're going to be the person that they're thinking about come January. And so you're setting yourself up for success. That doesn't mean that it's all seed planting and you're not going to reap any of it, because you're going to. If you're doing it consistently, you're going to feel your steps of success. However, what happens is that you're also planting the seeds of, oh my gosh, like, if you sign up now, that new person that you have is going to be well established. People are going to believe them by the time that January rolls around, and they're going to be the first person that they think of when they want to start their New Year's resolutions and need that boost. So those are just other things to think about too. And that's how I talk to some potentials.
Mm-hmm. Agree.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want me to touch on?
Yeah, just keep talking.
God. Thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it.
You're amazing. Seriously, thank you so much. Like, I feel like you fired me up. I'll tell you that.
You always
I'm glad. I love you guys, and I respect you guys, and I can't wait to watch you both go ambassador. It's going to be so freaking fun. And you guys are all just so lucky to have these amazing leaders on your team, and just know how blessed you are. Sometimes I think a lot of people can take for granted the leadership and things that we have within the whole organization, from Tiff down. And I think we just forget that, these people are amazing resources, and they want to help you. So just ask people for help, and you're going to get it. Because that's the culture that we have on our team.
I love it so much.
I know.
Thanks, Kels.
All right. Bye, guys. Have a good
Bye.
night.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.